At this point, everything has to be taken serious. Nothing should be taken as a joke. Even though they rage bait, they troll, you have folks that's seeking attention, even though we know that there is just a lot of people out here that's operating under malicious intent, you still have to take things like it is life or death in certain situations. Um, Especially when you know a person who is depressed, but they always laugh and smile. You don't know they're going through it. You have to be on, like, you can't just sit here and say, oh well, I didn't know, but did you really try? Did you
Check on the strong friends.
right? Do we, like, if we are we really trying to be a community? Are we really trying to have these open, honest forums? I mean, I people get scorned and burnt all the time. That does not mean that those experiences should disqualify other people from their truth. Just because this happened does not mean that it doesn't actually go down in some other areas. And Custom alluded to it, and I want to reiterate, I really stand by this. There are monsters next door to you. There are monsters inside your facilities where you work at. You sit next to people, and you wouldn't even believe that these are the same people that would be responsible for the crimes that we see. So it's like, are we just blind, or are we just pretending like we don't see what's happening because we so stuck in survival mode?
Hey, that's a great point, right? So I think what you have to realize, man, and I think what more people with the awakening is starting to happen is a lot of us are starting to realize we were raised in survival mode. And the problem with being raised in survival mode is there's no other mode because you're sitting around waiting on the next thing to happen. You're waiting on the next ball to drop. You're waiting on the next thing to initiate. The next thing is to get you triggered to get to the next point. And it's so much so that people don't really realize that it's a good thing to sit down and relax. Take an opportunity, enjoy the sunset, enjoy the view, look at the flowers, relax. Pause for a second and let your mind just take a chance to relax. And I think once you realize that, and you think about the monks, right? They spend so much time meditating, being at peace, trying to come at one. You look at so many other, again, we kind of talked about this, on an earlier pod, was other cultures, they more look at the process of manifestation and just relaxing and being at peace. Versus we look at it, if we sitting down and we're not constantly moving, then we're lazy. Then we're not as productive as the next person next to us. So I think it might be a time to recalibrate, rethink things, and just adjust it. We might have gotten it wrong. We might be a society of ultimate professionals, millionaires, billionaires, people that are doing all these things, but the actual goal in life is just to sit down, relax, and just enjoy the moment.
What do you think one of the main issues here is? Because I'm still stuck on the fact that, well, all right, that guy had the access that he did from behind bars. One. Two, we need to know how to identify that person, that archetype of person moving forward. Three, how does someone look at that as a candidate for procreation? But not only that, you find yourself in a position where they can tell you, I need you to go and assassinate somebody for me so they don't go to court and testify and put me behind bars, even though I did something horribly wrong. I need you to go do this job for me. How do you, as a woman, specific here and in general, because this is not just this case, but there's a number of instances where there are people who are willing to take the downfall or the bid for somebody, even though
Take one for the team.
right, basically. How do we get to that point? Like,
Are you seriously asking that question?
well, some people.
Are you shitting me?
Hey, I know.
What are you talking about, man? That's what our culture is based and built on. You know what I mean? Taking one for the team. I'm not saying that be a total hypocrite right now, right? You know, to sit here and say that I don't know how it is, but there's the street methodology. We'll just start making up some stuff, and then whether the people follow along, they don't. Hit us in the Discord. We can go further into detail. A street methodology of how we're supposed to be as a culture, right? As far as we kind of touched on it, no snitching. You know what I mean? Making sure we take care of somebody, we hold them down. If somebody's taking care of you, there's the codes, quote unquote, family codes. We talked about this earlier. Core values, family values. It's some type of values on where you're raised and where you come from and what you believe in. So it goes down to who's successful in an environment and what they've seen as their versions of success, right? It's not necessarily, I got 4 or 5 degrees, I'm an engineer, I'm in Texas, I work in the oil field, that's what you see as success. You come from a certain, the Midwest, cornfields, whatever, East Coast, whatever it is that, family lineage or whatever you guys are investing in is just whatever your version of success is, where you come from. And that's kind of what people pass on to each other. And I think that's where it stops and where it ends. Because what we talked about earlier was, I mentioned things about traveling. I mentioned things about experience, going abroad. These type of things, that's what kind of adds value to your life, because you see outside of your neighborhood. But if you don't see outside of your neighborhood and you see the people within your neighborhood going within and without of a certain set system, you're going to find a tie to those individuals who's going in and out, and how we can kind of take care of each other. The left hand comes together with the right hand and wash the face. So you're going to find ways to, whether it's skirt the system or it's ways to come together to circumvent the system, but you're going to come together in your small community, in your net, for those things to come together. So, you know what I mean? So Sid or Zay, y'all provide a different perspective, because we all come from different points, the continental United States. So I think we all have different points of view.
The element that I was going to bring in is loyalty. There's been a lot of research that's been done on loyalty and the level of willingness a person has to do something, regardless of whether it's illegal or not, based on how well they know them. And it's almost a one-to-one type of relationship, where the stronger relationship you have, the more willing you are to do something. And this, the best example I can think of is parents. Parents would be willing to kill for their children. They would be willing to go to the ends of the earth to do something for their child. But this still also applies to friendship type relationships. In a Cornell research study, they found that individuals who are even moderately closely tied, if they have some form of what they call an indirect tie, even if the person was accused of wrongdoing, had obviously committed a crime, the person or the people that knew that individual would still be willing to support that person and to even go as far as to commit crimes. Granted, these were all hypothetical, like theoretical type situations within the test parameters. But they also did apply this to the understanding of crime and the crime connections from people that they know to the person that actually perpetrated the crime. And they found that if they knew somebody, they would be more willing and more able to commit a crime that they ordinarily wouldn't have done on their own. Another really good example that they point out within this research is what we see in fraternities and sororities. When you have groups of very intense connection, very intense loyalties, they are going to be more likely to work together, and even if they commit a crime, they're going to stand together. And even if some of them disagree with what's happening, and as I said, wouldn't ordinarily commit crimes like that, because they're in a group setting, because there's that intense tie of loyalty, they're far more likely to go along with that criminal behavior in support of the people around them. And so I think this could be an example of what we're seeing, where the people that committed this crime for their friend that was already in jail or prison, wherever they were, they had a sense of loyalty for this person and were willing to prove that friendship, relationship, whatever. I suspect at least one of them had a romantic relationship, because typically that intensifies that sense of loyalty and the willingness to overlook morals. But they had this sense of loyalty and the desire to prove themselves to that person. So I imagine that was a huge component in this whole situation, that it's not just them hating her too, but them having that interest in completing this act for that other person that they already knew.
Zay, how you feeling?
I completely agree with both of you. And there's so many factors that go into this. Like, it's all circumstantial. Like, being able to pick out who's right for you and who's not, it's not an easy task. And like, let's see, there are times where systemic issues are in play as well. Sometimes someone might have gone farther in the system than someone else, and they see that, this person, maybe he's doing something right. Maybe I can learn from this person, and you kind of treat that person like a mentor, and it could be a good risk or it could be a negative risk, because sometimes you could play those games and it works out in your favor, but sometimes, like, 9 times out of 10, you're not gonna find the right mentor, because there's always gonna be someone that claims to be a mentor but not really. They just want something. They want that relationship because it's beneficial. So they don't appreciate the love that's given. It's all take, but it's not. It's there should be a balance. There should be a give and there should be a take. So there's so many factors that come to play here, is all I'm saying.
You can't have loyalty to somebody and not even have loyalty to yourself first. That's crazy. Like, accountability. You chasing after somebody, but you're in your pursuit of them, they don't even have their life in order, and you're looking at the results of their productivity as something that is worth merit. It really isn't. That's very, very dangerous. That's very dangerous. And the truth is, when you see it, you can tell that these people are probably broken, or there's something missing in them, because there's no way in the world, me looking at this situation, I'm willing to risk my freedom for you. I put it like this: you can't care about me if you're basically telling me to risk my life to protect you for a crime that you committed. So what you trying to tell me? You love me more if I kill this person for you? That's going to make you select me and choose me over that person. So I have to do the extremes in order for you to stay here, or I have to bring the moon to you for you to feel like I'm worthy of what? Something is wrong with that. Really wrong with that.
Yeah, but do you really feel like that? Or if you take the emotion out of it and you think about other people that go through things that are in more dire situations than you are, that they possibly could go through something like that and believe it. Because sometimes that's all you have. And that's how manipulation comes into play. That's how I'm able to get you to do things that I want. It's not because you got the best life that's going for you. You're going through some shit. And I can relate. And I can bring you in and I can tell you how some of those things may benefit you and they may not benefit you, but if nobody else got you, I got you. So if somebody who's going through something, they need a shoulder and I can offer them something, you don't think it's possible for that to happen?
I think that's usually the situation. And if I like, just to be transparent, yeah, I've been in that position before. Nothing to this extreme, but I've been there where I needed something and you offered it. It wasn't the best. I probably knew it wasn't, but guess what? I'm lacking something in me and I'm desperate. I'm thirsty. I'm hungry. I need to be edified somehow. You're providing me something, and it might not be what I needed to be, but it's something, and I will absolutely partake of it. I have partook of it. So I agree completely with that, and I think that is a lot of what this is too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, again, with great power comes great responsibility. Is we see those things that are out there, but what are we doing to kind of fix those problems? And there's a lot of things. Don't get me wrong. We're not trying to fix the world in 90 minutes, but there's a lot of things that go on that is out there, and people may constantly make a decision to choose to go that direction. Maybe because they don't necessarily have the support to make that conscious decision. See it, get that thing off your shoulder. But you don't necessarily have the things to make a conscious decision. But I think again, it just comes down to an education piece, right? So one, a support system, because a lot of people sometimes what they're looking for is support, and a lot of times they don't know how to reach out for it. Pride, ego, you call it what you want to. They made songs about it. Beyonce, Kanye got a big ego. Whatever you want to do. If the ego gets in the way, and then just knowing that you have other people to look out for, because it's more than just these two individuals and the people that we're talking about in the video, because this type of thing happens to more than just